Good morning, ladies. It is Sarah Shipton from Scrapbooking with Sarah here, and I am coming live to you this morning for our very first Technique Tuesday. I am so excited to share with you. It is a wet and miserable morning here in Adelaide. Let me tell you, my light is not going to get any better than what I've got here this morning, so we are just going to roll with it. You'll also have to excuse me if I have a coughing fit midway. I am recovering from a very nasty bug that I picked up some stage last week, but we are here and we are going to go with it. So yesterday morning, I posted our weekly challenge. So this was something I started while I was traveling overseas. I did a 6-weekly scrapbooking challenge for you all. And I posted a layout every Monday morning, once a week for 6 weeks running. And you all absolutely loved that challenge period and was so excited. You've all been asking if we can do it something more regularly. So I needed a little bit of time to regroup and figure out a plan. Here we are. So every Monday I will be posting a weekly scrapbooking challenge for you to do. And then the following day on Tuesday, I'm going to follow that up with a little Technique Tuesday class where I'm going to teach you some of the techniques that I used in the layout that I posted the day before. And there's not going to be any set times. I'm just going to go live when I can go live around my other commitments that I have during the day. And I will record this video and post it back to our Facebook group so you'll be able to watch it at any time that's convenient for you. So today, the techniques I'm going to be sharing with you are the embossing technique that we've got through the layout here. You can see this embossing pattern here on my cardstock, so I'm going to show you how to do that today. And I'm also going to show you how to use the blending brushes to get this inky pattern here on your scrapbook layouts. So this particular pattern here is from the Make It From Your Heart book. So this is volume 3, Make It From Your Heart. So it is a book that contains, a guide really. It's a guide that contains lots of different how-to patterns so you can get more confident with your scrapbooking layouts. All you need to do is grab out any scrapbooking papers that you've got in your stash at home, and you can create your first layout. So we're going to start with pattern 1. If you've got this book already, it's on page 6 of your how-to guide. If you haven't got the guide yet, you can contact me directly to order it or add it to your order on my website. If you go to the shop category, and I think it's under books or guides maybe, but even if you just type in how-to patterns on my website in the search function, the book will pop up. So I'm going to start with the how-to pattern book. When I did the weekly challenges while I was traveling overseas, I did post guides that were free patterns from the blog or ones that we had access to. I have to say that a lot of those patterns are really old. They use a lot of 2x2 inch size photos. We are going to be getting a new how-to pattern book on the 1st of September. So I wanted to get you guys familiarized with this particular one and how to use it. So then when the new guide comes out, I know you're going to be really, really excited about it. Okay, so let's start with the embossing technique. So you can see through here, I've got a 4-inch strip of cardstock. I've pre-cut this one here for you. This is in Bluebird. I'm using the lighter side of the Bluebird. This paper collection is called Cape Cod, which was our featured paper collection for July. You still can order this paper collection up until the end of August, the 31st of August. Now, this technique where you do the embossing through the cardstock here is really great if you've got this big section of cardstock and you just want to jazz it up a little bit. It looks pretty cool. I am using the Playful Scallops embossing folder. This particular embossing folder is discontinued, but you can pull out any embossing folder that you've got at home already. You won't see any embossing folders in your current catalogue. You'll need to go to my website and you'll need to type in embossing folder on the search function, and all the embossing folders that we currently have available in stock will come up. I've used the Playful Scallops one because it's got that wave effect, which I thought would be really fun with Cape Cod. So let's do it. Now, I've got my Cuttlebug here. I'm just going to open that up. With your embossing machine, I've got an A plate here, and then I've got 2 B plates. And what I'm going to do is pop my cardstock into the middle of my embossing folder. So I'm just going to line that up with that end bit there, and we're going to close the embossing folder up. That will help me because obviously it's going to only emboss about a 3/4 of the way through. So I'll need to open this folder up to continue that pattern along, and that's how you will get that continuous pattern through here. Don't be worried if you stuff it up and it's not even. You can always cover it with a photo or an embellishment in your layout. So I've got my A plate out here, and what we're going to do here is put the embossing folder between the two B plates. So I've got my base plate, I've got my B plate here, I'm putting my embossing folder in there, and then the other embossing folder over the top like so. And we're putting that onto the top of the A plate. So just making a little sandwich there, and we are feeding that through the embossing machine. Now this particular embossing machine I'm using, you can't buy them anymore. I bought this a long time ago. Close to My Heart does sell an embossing machine, so you'll find that on my website. And when we open this up, you will see that that's been embossed. Now I've got that upside down, so you can see the negative pattern here, and that's the positive pattern like so. What I'm going to do though is feed this through my embossing folder, and we are going to line that up like so. Oh, I need to bring that to the edge here. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to line that up, and then I'll just get that straight. We are going to feed that through the embossing machine a second time, and then you'll see that continuous pattern there. So there is an embossing machine that Close to My Heart sells. It's on my website. You can order it direct through me. Because of the weight of the item, there is an additional charge for shipping for the embossing machine. But if you're coming to my workshops, I have mine here for you to use, and I am going to be investing in the new one as well. Now look what I've done here. I wasn't watching what I've done, and now that's upside down. So I've got the positive side on one pattern with the negative continuing. Oh my gosh, I wasn't even watching what I was doing, but that's okay. It's no big deal. I'm just demonstrating how to use the embossing folder. So there is a little tip for you. See, girls, I make mistakes as well in my crafting. What I want you to do is make sure that you have got your pattern paper, the part that you've already embossed, up the right side, because you can see here I've got the positive and then the negative. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. But you know what? Like, who cares? Like, you could even run with that, or you could cut your paper off. It's no big deal. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to distress what you've just embossed. So you can see I've got this white edging sort of over the top of what I've embossed. So this technique here is, I wanted to bring the embossing folders back because they're just so fun, and so many of you would have these in your supplies already. Now, this is a little sanding kit. Again, this is not a tool that we sell in the range anymore. So you can use mine at workshop, or you know what? Some of my girls have literally just gone to like their local hardware store and got like just a little scrap bit of sandpaper. I mean, this has got pretty pattern on it, but in effect, all it is sandpaper, right? So you could just go and grab something. You might even find like a little craft tool kit, maybe at like the Reject Shop or Cheapest Chips in their craft section. And all we're going to do here over the bit that is actually positive, so this is the bumpy bit, the raised bit, you're just going to get your sanding tool and you are going to rub that over the top of the embossed part of the cardstock, like so. So depending on how much of the white core of the cardstock, so that's important to note. The reason why you can see this white now on your cardstock is that our cardstock actually has a white core. So it's two-tone cardstock. The darker side will be the original color of the cardstock. This is Bluebird. And then the lighter side will be the other tone side of the cardstock. So the reason why you can see now this white, because we have sanded that back slightly. The reason you can see that is that's the white core of the cardstock coming through. So how cool does that look? I absolutely love that. I did use, as you can see here, the lighter side. So I've only got this sort of little 4.5 inch section here but I can cut that down. I can use that on a card. I can pop that on another scrapbook layout. So that is using the embossing folders and then sanding them to get that fun effect. Let's have a look now at using your blending brushes. So with the blending brushes, you can see that I have used them on my base page. So this is White Daisy cardstock. This is my base page here, and I have used the blending brushes here, and I've used them just here where you can see the ink, and also in this corner here where you can see the ink there. And so this particular pattern that we're using here today, I only had 4 photos of this particular beach that we visited in Naxos, and so there was obviously quite a fair bit of room for embellishing. If you've got extra photos, then you can fill these spaces with photos here. The only reason I've done quite a lot of embellishing here with this pattern is that I only had 4 photos from this particular beach. So I've been able to really embellish my pages here. So I've used the ink and the blending brushes as a focal point to embellish, and then I've just popped embellishments over the top of that. So let's have a look at how we are doing that. So a couple of things that you're going to need. You'll need your ink color. So you want to get your inks that coordinate with your paper collection, and it tells you in your catalog what colors coordinate with your paper. So for Cape Cod, when we are working with this paper collection here, in your catalogue, it will tell you here which colors actually coordinate with your paper collection. So we've got Periwinkle, Bluebird, Lagoon Toffee and White Daisy. So I can use any one of those ink colors, and I know it's going to coordinate with the beautiful pattern papers that we've got in this particular range. So very clever, close to my heart. Think of all of that. I don't have to be a color expert in any way, shape or form, because our art department takes care of all of that for us. Okay. So what I've got here is my scratch paper. So you're going to want to have some scrap paper just on hand while you're doing this particular technique. And I've got my ink pads here. Now our ink pads, these are the original ink pads that we had when I first started with Close to My Heart. This is how long and how great quality the ink lasts. The new ink pads are actually magnetic, like so. But I have not had to replace this ink pad because she still works super great, which is excellent. So I have got my ink pad here, and then I've got my blending brush. So let's talk about blending brushes now. These come in a 3-pack. You will find them in your core catalogue, or you can just go to my website and type in blending brushes and they will pop up. If you've got your catalogue handy, they're on page 86 of your catalogue. And you get a 3-pack of brushes for $29. Now, they are a very soft bristled brush. They're ergonomic. They're about 6 inches long, so they're really easy to handle and use. Now, I had never used blending brushes until Close to My Heart brought these into our range, and I've used our sponges where you can get your little round sponge and you can cut that into 8ths. And we've also got another blending foam pad, which I'm going to introduce to you probably next week, in next week's Technique Tuesday. I don't have that handy here. It's in my other room. But these blending brushes are absolutely fabulous. So I'm going to demonstrate how we use the blending brush first, and then I'm going to give you some tips on how to look after your blending brushes, because you do not need to buy one blending brush for every single color. Okay, let's just get that straight. Let's get that on the record first up. Okay, so I've got some White Daisy cardstock here. I've got my Lagoon ink pad, and I've got my blending brush. Now, you can see that my blending brush is stained. I don't want you to be worried about that because as you can see here, it doesn't permanently mark your blending brush. You can reuse your blending brush with other colors, and I'll touch on some tips for those for you in just a moment. So you want to ink up your blending brush, and then you want to get rid of that excess ink before you blend onto your cardstock. It will take a little bit of time to build up the color that you want. And what I will say is that less is more, yeah? Because the ink will actually take a little bit of time to come to its true color on the cardstock. And so the thing with that is that you can keep adding and adding and adding, and it actually ends up a lot darker than what you think it's going to come up. So initially I wanted something really light. So you could stop at that if you wanted to, or you could keep going. It's entirely up to you, okay? So I'm just making a little circle there in circular motions with that blending brush. And again, you can keep working that color. You can make it as light or as dark as you want to, building up with that. You might want to let it sit for a little bit to see what that kind of comes up with. And if you want to add more, you can add more. So all I've done here is pop that onto the page. I did do that before I put my cards down because I knew I was going to put a little embellishment cluster here. And you can see here that I've then added in some embellishment. So making a little embellishment cluster will draw the eye's attention to that and help to balance out your scrapbook layout when it is in your album in a 12 by 12 format. So all I've done here is I've stamped a little sea dragon, and he's been stamped in periwinkle ink. And this is a die cut from the Cape Cod card making workshop kit. And you can see very closely I've done some pen art there with our white gel pens. So I've just drawn some white on there. Before I did that, no, I didn't sponge these ones. I didn't sponge these die cuts. This has been stamped using the Cape Cod Scrapbooking stamp set with coordinating thin cuts, a little embellishment from the Cape Cod embellishments, and then I've overlaid a sticker there from the Cape Cod paper pack and sticker sheet. And then I've just popped some little blings there, 3 blings. They look better in odd numbers than even. The title here of Naxos, I've actually stamped that using the Anthem alphabet. This is a stamp set with a thin cut. So it's a capital alphabet with the numbers, a really, really great one. This one is actually still available for sale. And then you've got the coordinating banners here in different shapes. So you can create these title shapes on your page. You can see there's little holes at the top of each of the thin cut. So I had some old twine in my scraps where I've actually just threaded that through the holes here to connect the die cut title together. And then I've added that on with some 3D foam tape just to pop that up over the top of where I've blended here. And then I've tucked my embellishments down and underneath into the title. So this is from the Cape Cod embellishment pack and also the Cape Cod embellishment pack. And this little shell here, we've cut him out from the Cape Cod card making workshop kit. So a lot of our scrapbookers have invested in that kit, even though they don't make cards. They've invested in that kit because the stamps and the die cuts in that set are really great sizing for your scrapbook layouts, as you can see. And then I've just done some pen art with my white gel pen over the top of that one there. And with this embellishment cluster, this one was pretty basic because this side of the page had this big title. So let's talk about this title here, Let's Go. If you purchased the Cape Cod Scrapbooking Workshop Kit, you'll get a big die cut overlay, and you're actually going to punch out these letters and you use that die cut overlay on your scrapbook layout. But then you're left with these letters. So I actually saved them, and as you can see here, I've used my blending brush and my Lagoon ink. I did it over the top of my scratch paper here, and I just blended over the top of these letters here very lightly, and then I've popped them over the top of my embossed cardstock just using some 3D foam tape there. When you punch the letters out, you will see there's some little indentations in the letters. If that bothers you, you can use your embellishments from your Cape Cod kit to embellish over the top here. I've just tucked a little shell from the embellishments pack underneath there that has been embellished with some pen art there. And then this little embellishment cluster here was just using the Cape Cod embellishments, and we've blinged it up with some clear sparkles because everything looks better with some bling, right girls? Now the journaling box here, I've just cut that down to fit in this section here, and you can see I have sanded that around the outside just to give that really fun textured beachy look. So really happy with that layout and how it has come out. I hope that you have enjoyed this weekly challenge. You've got until the end of the week to complete your layout and post it in the comments. Take a photo of the layout that you've done and post it in the comments. I've actually pinned the weekly challenge in my Facebook group. If you go to the featured section at the top, you'll see the photo there, and in the comments I've put the instructions in terms of what size papers you need to cut. It's pretty straightforward with your cardstock. This was a zip strip left over from my Cape Cod pack, and this spotty paper here is from the July to August mix-in paper pack, and these are actually scraps of the paper pack. If you created the project in May, the Endless Sunshine album kit, which was a 6x8 inch album kit, if you created that album kit back in May, you will actually have these scrap papers in your kit, because we actually put the July and August mix-in papers into that kit as a little sneak peek preview. So these were actually scraps from that kit that I had left over. And as you might have seen in the comments, I actually stuffed up the cutting of my photos, and I had a gap at the top here, so I've just cut 1/4 inch of my scrap paper here and stuck that over the top there just to fill in that gap. So as you can see, live in real time, girls, I make mistakes with my scrapbooking too. They're never mistakes, they're just opportunities for more fun crafting, right? So I hope you've enjoyed today's Technique Tuesday. If you've got any comments, please feel free to pop them below. Tell me what you liked about this and if you're going to use it in your scrapbooking. And of course, if you've got any techniques that you'd like me to share with you in upcoming Technique Tuesday videos, pop it in the comments below. I would love to share with you. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy our weekly challenge.